Well, hello everybody, and it's so odd to be doing it from my sofa. Normally at this point I would be standing up in front of you wearing about 17 layers. Probably on today's weather I'd be have my waterproofs on as well, and we'd be standing out in Woking in the dark, and I'd be talking about why we were doing this event. So whilst it's a bit surreal sitting here, many ways it's the same thing. Obviously, we're indoors and not outdoors because of COVID, but it's essential that we continue to raise awareness of our cause and recognizing that whilst we're all struggling with COVID, we're all finding it incredibly difficult. It's a new way of working, of living, of missing our family and friends. But also imagine if you didn't have anywhere to live. And so what we decided to do was the big sleep in. And whilst it's never going to be the same, we thought if everybody sleeps anywhere in their house or garden or wherever, but not in their bed, they get a tiny, tiny, tiny example of what it is. Well, 2001, the shelter on York Road was born, but prior to that, some people from the local churches were doing soup runs and things like that. So what happened is the need for somewhere for people to sleep was recognised, and the shelter opened. And from that time, that was 2001, it has grown immensely. And so now we have the shelter, we have a day centre, we have 5 move-on properties with a 6th about to come online. We have outreach team. We have to grow to meet the need, and that's where you guys come in, because without the community, we wouldn't exist. And I'm not talking about cold hard cash. I'm talking about your support, your understanding, your compassion to people if you see them rough sleeping. And I think Woking is astonishing. I've worked homelessness in Guildford for many years before coming to Woking 8 years ago, and I'm just constantly on a daily basis amazed by the support we get. And particularly now with COVID, it's been somewhat challenging. So lockdown hit on March 23rd, and overnight we tripled our beds. We went from 31 beds and just grew and grew and grew. And we took over ultimately the Woking Hotel. Instead of 11 beds in the night shelter, we went to 33 beds there, and with the same staff team. And the team have been incredible, and it's been tough. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to make it to be something it isn't. It's been very hard work. We've been dealing with people who probably would never ever come anywhere near us because they'd be able to sort themselves out. So we're used to a certain number and type of client, but what we found were people directly affected by COVID. So the relationship breakdowns, the people who are self-employed, but suddenly their work stopped and they were sleeping in vans. The people who were working on building sites, but in sort of insecure sort of tenancies, and landlords against government law evicted illegally. And so we were just faced by almost an onslaught of really vulnerable and scared people. But we've maintained it, and we're still full. Woking Borough Council have taken the decision that regardless of whether the government has ended the Everybody In campaign, Woking has decided let's keep housing people. So every time we get a void, we are getting somebody else in. But what I would say is that 95% of the people who've been through the hotel have been from Woking. They've got a local housing connection to Woking. We prioritise Woking first and foremost. And that is our absolute aim, always to be a local charity supporting local people. And we haven't shipped, for want of a better word, any of those people in need out of the borough to accommodation elsewhere. We've kept everybody here. And if we ran out of beds, we used beds in the travel lodge, anything to keep people off the streets and keep them safe. So it has been tough, but we put please out, or Stephen did mainly, please out on Twitter, please out on the website, and said, help, we're running short of this. We need that. Can somebody help? And they're always responded to. And it's just fantastic.
I think, what's evident, Kath, is that so many people in the local community come out and show their support during people's time in need. And Woking's community is absolutely fantastic. I know that later on you're going to be talking about a potential story, but I know that you've got so many to tell in your career. What's kind of been a standout moment for you? I mean, obviously,
Yeah, I think one is one of my most favourites is a few years ago. So there was a I'm going to sound like I'm tarring everybody with the same brush, but this guy was quite stereotypical, I think, of people's views of what a homeless person looks like. And he did have quite an extensive drug habit. He looked a bit like a cage fighter, had no teeth, his nose was broken, and he was all front. And so he spent a long time shouting and screaming, and it took a long, long time. He came in and out of the shelter, he kept kicking him out, and then he kept coming back in, and on and on and on. Anyway, finally something clicked, and he went through our move on properties, and he left us. He went off and got himself, we helped him get himself settled. And then I was standing outside the Prop Day Centre on Goldsworth Road one day, and all of a sudden this quite little sweet bright yellow car pulls up outside, and this former client jumped out and gave me a hug. And he was working, he was back in touch with his family and his kids, and he felt that without us he would never have achieved it. And it just shows you what can be achieved. People make changes, and this is something that's really important to us at Euro Project. We believe that people can change, and we're not one striking you out. If you may come through the night shelter 17 times, and on the 18th time it clicks. It's taken years and years to get to that situation where you're with us. So we're not going to be able to support you to make those changes in just a couple of weeks. People do really well. They may be with us 6 months into one of our houses, and then something happens, and the past trauma flares up, and they go off the rails again. But that doesn't matter, because we'll help them again when they come back round, or pick them up through that and hold their hands through it. And the chap who I was talking about in the yellow car, it just makes me smile. And sometimes I'll walk down the streets and bump into somebody. I don't recognise them because they put on weight, and they just look healthy and happy, and it's just fantastic. And more people sort themselves out with our support than don't. And I think that's really important, that everybody remembers it. I mean, even in the first 4 months of COVID, when we'd had 90 people go through the hotel beds and the ones in the travel lodge, within those 4 months, we've moved on 36% of them into their own independent accommodation, with a lot of thanks from Woking Borough Council. But this shows that we can move people, with help from everybody, and people want to make changes in their lives. In some respects, COVID has been actually quite helpful to some people, because it's focused their minds. They've realised that when you've got such a serious situation in the world, maybe that is what the sort of push that they need to realise that they've got to really embrace the support and face their demons. Trauma is probably the cause of all the problems with about 95% of our clients. It isn't drug and alcohol problems that causes the problem. It's the trauma that causes the drug and alcohol problems.
Indeed, and you touched upon it there. Obviously, tonight's event isn't just about raising money, it's about raising awareness of the fact that many people live just 2 paychecks away from experiencing homelessness, and that is the harsh reality. Trauma, from bereavement to breakups in relationship, can affect individuals and can, of course, obviously contribute to homelessness. Kath, recently, obviously, we've had our Amazing Harvest campaign. A shout out to everybody out there that has shown their support, but especially a shout out to this amazing school in Bisley. And I just wanted to share some amazing photographs of something that came through to us at our temporary centre in the HG Wells. I mean, look at that. The Bisley school created a whole, well, it looks like a wall of cards and messaging support for us, and their message there: with love and best wishes from Eagles Class, Bisley, the Church of England Primary, which is just lovely. But again, there's been so many churches, faith group, community groups, etc., that have come forward and shown their support. What can the community locally do to support YR?
Okay, so the first thing to do is always, if you see somebody who you believe is homeless, call us. That's the very first thing to do. As I said earlier, the quicker we can get to somebody and make contact, the quicker we can help them off the streets and out of the situation. Secondly would be talk to anybody who's interested about what we do. Tell them about the services we have and how important it is, even in a reasonably affluent place like Surrey, how many people we help, and talk about the wider issue of homelessness in the country. And I used to say homelessness is not just for Christmas, but now I think that it's become quite out there. People have become much more aware about it through COVID, and it's a really good time to keep that dialogue going. Keep talking about us. Keep talking about homelessness. Read the data if you want, and obviously on a much more local level is how can you help in terms of donations? We have a website that has an up-to-date list on it. There's an Amazon wish list. We can get the link off the website as well. And sometimes just give us a call and say, is there any way I can help? The problem we have at the moment with the HULs being down there is we just don't have the storage space. So we're having to be very fussy on what donations we can take. So whereas we'd normally have a lot more, coats and boots in the day centre, we just can't store it. So we're quite specific. So it's always best to call us. And if for any reason you can't help us in any way, again, just smile, come past and say hello to us. That'd be really good.
Well, for me, it's just something that, conversations they trigger feelings. And I remember when we spoke, I was at home thinking about my own little bubble world of problems. And for a second, I decided to deliberately stop and think about what it must feel like to be homeless. And suddenly I immersed myself into that and really felt it. And I grabbed the pen and paper and I started writing a song about it. And it was actually a very important moment of my life, I must say, because up until then, I always felt as if something would trigger my thoughts and then my feelings, and I would be able to write. I always thought it was something external that would cause that. At that moment, I deliberately wanted to feel try to feel what it was like to be homeless. So I actually triggered that feeling by what you said to me. And I managed to write a song about it. And it was really quite moving for me, very therapeutic as well. So yes, that's how it all happened that day. Here we go. So this song is called Another Day. In a moment, one more breath. It's a knot inside my throat. It's a chain weighing down my soul. I feel so lonely in this world. Nowhere to go when I gaze at the sky. It is this sadness consuming me. I'm petrified of my own existence. I contemplate to no longer be. I feel so small, I feel so judged. I have a story that hurts so much. The pain took over, and now I'm here, losing myself through all this fear. I feel so lost, I can feel the love. Still there is life inside this heart. Hope and believe it's another day. There's always time to start again.
I feel so lost, I can't feel the love. Still there is life inside this heart. Hope and believe it's another day. There's always time to start again. Start again. Start again.
Wow. Unbelievable. Green room. Did you have your tissues there, Kath?
I did indeed. I had my tissues. Look.
Oh no, we're a mess tonight. I tell you, it's fantastic. Kath, if you was to tell the people at home about how potentially somebody experiencing homelessness may feel, obviously Abby talked about isolation, loneliness, potentially those feelings. Are there any other kind of feelings or words that you would say, kind of you would associate with homelessness and rough sleeping?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I'd say is I never claim to understand, because I don't walk in anybody else's shoes. And so it's really important that we recognise every individual as an individual, and their story is their story. This is going slightly off piste, but I remember a few years ago when we're in the prop, we do a rough sleeper breakfast. So at 7:30 we open the doors for those who aren't in beds. They can have a shower, breakfast. Lovely part of the day. They don't want anything other than what we call appropriate love. And some of the clients brought in a new rough sleeper, and he didn't say much, but as he was in on anew, I just made him a cup of tea. And as I passed the cup of tea to him, he burst into tears. And I looked at him thinking, my word, is he in pain? What's going on? And he just said I was the first person who had made him a cup of tea for months. And so I think I don't know, I don't want to generalize, but I think a lot of people who are experiencing homelessness, the overwhelming feeling they may have is loneliness, that complete disconnect to the rest of society, who are running around with their lives and doing their own thing. And so to feel, I can't imagine what it must be like to feel that lonely, that isolated, that almost you don't exist in Western society. So yeah, I think loneliness and fear. Fear is another one. We get shouted at an awful lot, but one thing we say to the team is take it almost as sort of turn it around. It's a bit of a positive, because you're safe to shout at, because you're still going to be standing there the next time they come back. You're not going to reject them. So, anger is based in fear. So I think that if I were to attempt to walk in their shoes, I would be absolutely petrified. I wouldn't know where to go, what to do. I don't know. I'd probably curl up in a ball somewhere. So the resilience that we witness every single day is astonishing. I say I wouldn't be that resilient, but I suppose when you're in that situation, that resilience comes from somewhere, that survival element of your life. So I think I've met some of the most amazing people ever in the jobs I do with working with people experiencing homelessness.
Right, so let's cross over now to a client story that most definitely touched me when I spoke with her, and somebody that, of course, recognises again the amazing work that the team at York Road Project do. This is Dion, and please be aware that there may be triggers related to mental health and drug and alcohol abuse.
My name is Dion. My story began in April when I joined York Road Project. I left a violent relationship, domestic violence. I did with my partner of 7 years. Street angels that come around at the weekends on Fridays and Saturdays in Morecambe Town Centre, they give me some information about the York Road Project and explained to me. But Well, what's it? I was nervous coming in, and because especially where I come, it was halfway through the COVID situation, lockdown, and that, and because I had spent a couple of nights on the streets before I come to York Road, and as soon as I come in, I was greeted, a very welcome greeting, and I gave my deals registered, and I was given a room I was on York Road. Like every day is like being challenging because I'm also a drug addict. They've helped me get back on my prescription, my medication, which I've stuck to, doing well. I have grateful that they've managed to like help me the way they have, because in the short few months that I've been here, they've managed to sort housing out, get me back into housing situation. They've helped me with my benefits, claiming my benefits again, but I wouldn't be like, what's it, clean, showered. I can't, if it was like I had a home and I went from a home to nothing. I did, and I was so low and everything. Like, don't get me wrong, I was hungry as well, but at that time, I didn't care for food. I was just hitting the drugs because I couldn't believe, from being high up, having the property, giving it all up for a man, and then York Road took me in and just helped me, because if it hadn't been for them, I tell you now, I'd still be on the streets. And I've never ever committed a crime of shoplifting or nothing. I haven't. And I probably would have started shoplifting to fill my drug habit and all that, because even this times, I don't have credit on my phone. I can go down to York Road, down to the staff. They let me use their phone, they let you use computer, everything to help and all that. So if it hadn't been for them, that I would have been still on the streets taking drugs. Definitely 100%. What's it? At least what I can say from now, I can't speak nothing bad about them, because you even I'm a self-harm person, depression and all that, and I just lost a relative not long ago, and I didn't have the money to travel together, and York Road paid for my train ticket to get me to Preston for a funeral and everything. And if you're stuck, and no matter if you're feeling low, the staff's always there, and they sit and they listen, and it doesn't matter what it's about, but they'll take the time and they will sit there. And like my brother's birthday was yesterday, and one of the staff members, Teresa, come on, we go out, buy you a cup of coffee, go for a walk. So I wasn't sitting in my room wallowing and, and like feeling depressed and all that. It doesn't matter what situation you're in, the staff will always take time and to comfort you. That was the main thing, yes. I got to say me goodbye. Yes, because that was the thing I was dreading more.
We do. So I was just wondering what you're doing in terms of moving your clients into longer term accommodation. I know it's a real challenge, isn't it, within the sector?
Yeah, so we have 5 move-on properties of our own. We've got with a 6th coming online early next year. So what we tend to do is move people on from the shelter into those houses, and they have a varying level of support offered to them. And the idea with that is that they can then still receive support, but live in a much more normal environment. It's shared houses, so it's not independent living, furnished to a high standard. And yes, they have to engage with the support, but it's quite client-led, so it depends on how much they want or whatever, but we make sure they have all of they know what they need to do in terms of their benefits or job hunting or whatever. The problem we have is when we get to the end of the line of our houses, because a couple of our houses are low support, we keep them at affordable rent, which actually means we make a loss on 2 of our houses, because if we didn't keep the rents so low, they wouldn't be able to afford to live there if they get a job. So the next step would, in our ideal world, would be into social housing. So they've got the security, but unfortunately, there isn't that much of that around. So it will be private rented, which is incredibly hard to access. Not just in Woking, and not just the southeast, but anywhere unless you move to, I guess, further up north. But we work with some landlords. We have quite a few contacts. But it's in terms of independent living, self-contained, their own place with their own key to their own front door. That is unfortunately quite few and far between. We probably only do, I don't know, half a dozen a year of those. However, advantages of COVID, bizarrely, what we have found is that the government have made an awful lot of money available to local authorities. Not enough, but far more than they'd normally have. So that's been able to meant that it's been we've been able to work very closely with Woking Borough Council and secure a lot more independent housing, because the emphasis has really been trying not to put people in shared accommodation for health reasons. And so we've managed to move quite a few on into their own places since March. And I think, I'm sorry, I don't have the exact figures, but we must be talking about a dozen into their own places in the last 6 months, which is ridiculously high. And we've got a lot more on the horizon as well, of moving people into their own place. But that creates a lot more work, particularly as we're doing it so fast. We wouldn't just move somebody in to an empty house with a key. We need to make sure they've got a bed, they've got the washing machine, the cooker, all of this, which all of that stuff we can source, but only because the community helps us with either funding or sending us vouchers or whatever. So that's what we do.
Definitely. We do have to call out as well, a huge thanks to Woking Rotary for their support in providing us with white goods for a number of properties across Woking that we've managed to put clients into. But if you do want to donate, you can simply head over to yorkroadproject.org.uk, or you can donate £5 per month via text by simply texting YRP Hero to 70085. That once again is YRP Hero to 70085. Terms and conditions apply, and the text message will cost £5 plus 2 standard rate messages. And of course, all the terms and conditions are available on our website, yorkroadproject.org.uk. Kath, very quickly, how can people support York Road Project if they are tuned in to Radio Woking and watching at yorkroadproject.org.uk?
So is this a sneaky one to get me to do the plea for money so you don't get told off by me for asking too much?
Well, of course, that's it's in there.
So if you wish to help us financially, please go to yorkroadproject.org.uk, and there's a whole series of donate buttons there. Another way is just if it's something you feel like you'd like to provide for us, there's our there's a list of what you could donate, and it will also direct you to our Amazon wish list. Or if you don't want to do that now or forget tomorrow, give us a call and ask us how you can help.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kath. Obviously, incredibly, we are live on the radio and, of course, here at York Road Project. We're going to hit over to a song over there, and we're back here in the room. So thank you so much for tuning in to The Big Sleep In. Incredibly, so many people are obviously hitting the website and viewing our wish list at the moment. So fantastic, and thank you so much to you all for... Here we go. Lots of people want to help but don't know how. What is the best way that somebody can help York Road Project itself? And also, if they know of somebody who is or is going to be homeless, how do they get in touch? Are there any other organisations? And what's the process? That's a message from Angela Gray, who has emailed in.
I mean, what was raised then really well is if someone's about to become homeless, ideally tell us before someone's become homeless or you're going to lose your accommodation. The sooner we know, the sooner we can help. And it could be that we just need to make a few phone calls and actually we can resolve your housing situation, or we can then do a planned move into us if that's appropriate. What I would say is that York Road Project focuses on Woking first and foremost. So that if someone were to ring us from Reigate or from Birmingham or wherever else outside Woking Borough, we'll offer them advice, but we won't be bringing them into Woking. This is otherwise what happens is a support network creates here, and then we struggle with moving them on because they don't have a local housing connection. So it sounds a bit harsh, but there is very sensible reasons behind it. And we do some work with Waverley, and we have a property in Milford for Waverley clients. So we do a little bit over there, but that's because they're neighbouring borough and it made sense. Otherwise, their clients are with us anyway. In terms of helping, as I said earlier, just nip over to the website and have a look there. There's information about how to donate financially, what items we are particularly short of, or going via our Amazon wish list, which I think is the greatest invention on the entire planet. Press a button, it can get sent straight to us, and you don't have to go and pick anything up. The one thing I will say, and I'm sure there's been lots of questions about this, is about volunteering. Normally, we open our arms to volunteers. However, at the moment, COVID is causing us a lot of problems with this. For the obvious reasons, it's not difficult to understand, because our volunteers would have to go through quite a stringent induction process anyway, because we work with some very traumatized individuals who can be unpredictable. But please give us a call and have a chat. It could be that we say, give us a call back in 6 months, or when all the numbers are going back down again. And it's difficult because we're working out of a building that actually isn't ours, so we haven't got full control of the building. But there are other ways, things like set up your own little fundraising little project. I mean, I know that we've got Mary Tobin on speaking at some point through tonight, and she raises funds for us in a different way. We have calendars made for us or sold on our behalf. So there are other ways, and Stephen's very good at sort of advertising all of that stuff. But just keep in contact, drop us an email. Stephen will always answer to all of them, won't you, Stephen?
We do.
Info at York Road Project.
Getting back to people and saying, thank you very much for your question, etc. But no, thank you. And of course, there are also many people in local community groups, church groups, and local businesses showing their support. Obviously, to keep you engaged, I'm going to change things about in terms of our schedule, and we're going to go heading over now with some messages from 2 businesses locally. We've got Nationwide, and we've also got Morrison's, both of which, if you have any donations of food or any hygiene products such as shaving foam, deodorants, you can drop them into these stores.
Here at Nationwide Woking, we're very happy and proud to be supporting such a great charity like the York Road Project. We understand all the hard work that the York Road Project does to help those who are vulnerable, most in need, and facing homelessness. Having the sign outside has definitely helped in terms of the amount of food that we're receiving. So we do have a lot of people walk by and often just pop in to ask if they can donate food. And obviously we say yes. So we've had a lot of people drop off, bags of food actually. So we've had biscuits, sachets of soup, canned food, and yeah, quite a lot of things.
Please continue with all that you're doing
and continue being the York Road heroes.
Wow, and we do have another one. This is Morrison's now in Woking. Thank you to you two.
Welcome to Morrison's Woking. Here at Morrison's we are committed and passionate about helping and supporting our local community. Homelessness can happen to absolutely anyone when they least expect it, and the York Road Project is an amazing local charity that supports over 300 people every year to move their lives forward positively and access safe, secure accommodation.
We've recently set up a dedicated drop-off point in store so customers can donate items that are desperately needed. Currently, these include tin food, cooking sauces, Christmas snacks, tea, coffee, hot chocolate, pasta and rice, toiletries, hygiene products and PPE. You can find the donation point at the back of the checkouts in the Woking store. Morrison's Woking are looking forward to working with the York Road Project long term, supporting great initiatives such as the Big Sleep In and the donation point, and really making a difference in our local community.
Can you help us with fresh veggies, potatoes, and fruit? Well, they're all things that potentially our clients may need. If you can help us to help them with fresh vegetables, potatoes, and fruit, then please do give us a call on 01483 728 739 during working hours so that we can arrange collection, or of course so that you can drop them off to our temporary facility at York Road Projects HG Wells Conference Centre. Let's serve up a healthy treat for our clients and obviously deliver some fantastic food and drink. A huge thanks to all of the staff and our chef Alan, doing great work in the kitchen at HG Wells to provide food and drink to our clients. Please obviously remember that your donations go a long way to support those during their time of need. Thank you.
This is a very long-winded case, really, and Paul was astonishing. So Paul we had not in accommodation very much because he didn't like being around people. So quite often he would come and eat with us, but wouldn't stay in a bed, or if he did, it would only be for a night or two. And he was quite difficult to communicate with in terms of if you took a step towards him, he'd take a step back. And this went on for years. And we had at that point, we still have Naomi, a worker. She's an assertive outreach worker, and she was in a slightly different role last year. And what she did was her focus was on well-being and supporting the whole person and forgetting about housing, because he was so far away from housing that there was no point spending time trying to fill out forms and referrals. So it was more about getting to understand him as a human being. So Paul walked miles, and you'd often see him around Surrey, not just Woking, because actually he didn't come from Surrey, from Woking. He was in another borough, but he would walk miles with a great big rucksack, and he had a very long beard. And he was very difficult to sit down with, or get him to sit down with you. He didn't want to go and have a cup of coffee in a coffee shop, too public, too noisy, very, very difficult environment for him. So Naomi, our worker, sort of had a think and a look at this, and in the end, the way she got to build a relationship with him was to walk. So she started just walking with him and talking, and that was the start of a really good relationship being built. And last Christmas, we had our Christmas meal in the day centre in the Prop, and we were trying to encourage him to come in, but he was very concerned. Not only about all the other people, but he was concerned about his rucksack, because that's his life in there. So the agreement was we put his rucksack in a little meeting room, and we had to watch the door and make sure it was safe. He didn't want it locked, I presume, because if we locked it, then he couldn't get in, quickly grab his bag and leave if he wanted to. So he ate his Christmas meal with everybody else, and us as a staff team, we were all going, "Oh, it's so sweet, Paul's in." To cut a very long story short, after lots of walking and lots of time, we've actually got him housed, and I'm so chuffed with the team. Naomi worked really hard, but it was a true team effort. You can't do any of this work on your own. Every aspect of York Road Project involves so many people. You know, whether it's me as chief exec or Stephen as fundraiser or the chef, we all have to work very closely together. And though Naomi led on Paul's case and did a lot of it, there was a ways we all had to learn to act when we were around him, so we didn't trigger anything or scare him off. And so he is housed. He went back to his the borough he came from. Naomi worked hard to get him organised over there, and as far as we know, he's living happily ever after. He hasn't been back to us, so that's a really positive one. So I must say, I don't know, that one will last me for a lifetime, I think.
Hi, we're here with the York Road Project and their Big Sleep Inn. We are Alex and Phoebe of the Colourblind Monks. We really hope you enjoy, and this is our first song, 7th Street.
His eyes opened, I saw a token of someone who is broken, and all the notes he played are stolen.
He's looking back on brighter days, but he knows the truth. Unlike me, you say, I've been burning out from my bright light. I've seen ghosts in the shadow, and I'm not leaving the gasp, no. I guess I'll go home today. 7th Street is where I lay. Let me blow up in these flames. This song is so new that it doesn't have a name yet, so you're the first to hear it. I really hope you enjoy. Sun silhouetted in those eyes, as we're covered in 1,000 jet black skies. It's here the light at night, and I don't know how. Look that way, I don't know what I'll find. You're dancing the flames, I think you must have lost your mind. Like an eclipse, our lips touch briefly before you go and leave me repeatedly. And now I'm screaming hallelujah in your light, whilst you curse the sky as it spills your light. Got a flaming heart, but a jaded mind. Got a bloodied smile with tired eyes, and his mouth like wax when he cries. Been staring at the sun so long I lost my sight, but I didn't care because my love was always blind. Like an eclipse, our lips touch briefly before you go and leave me repeatedly. And now I'm screaming hallelujah in your light, whilst you curse the sky as it spills your light. Your lies, your lies, your lies. You kill the sun in heaven. You tore it up in your greed. And even Lucifer grieve for the death of me. In the light for the death of you and I. Homelessness can happen to anyone, anywhere. This is why we're so grateful to have charities like the York Road Project to help people out in their time of need. Let's defeat homelessness together.
Hi, I'm Yana.
Hi, I'm Molly.
We both live in Woking and have lived here for many years. The York Road Project is an amazing charity defeating homelessness in our area. They do an incredible job supporting those in need, and they stopped at nothing. They have worked really hard throughout the first COVID lockdown.
Absolutely, and they're back again with an incredible fundraising event called the Big Sleep In, and we would like to say congratulations and well done to everybody that's taking part in this event. You are all heroes to us.
Absolutely, all heroes, including us. And we're here and we really want to break down the stigma attached to homelessness. Let's do it together.
Yeah, there are so many reasons why somebody could become homeless. It's not just through substance misuse. It could be a relationship breakdown. It could be a sudden onset of an illness that causes you to be in hospital or to lose your job. We know all too well during the pandemic, a lot of people have lost their jobs. And it's really important to know that 70% of the population are only 2 paychecks away from potentially becoming homeless. So I think it's really important that we raise awareness and we support charities like the York Road Project that are helping everybody in our community, and you never know when you might need them. So we are really proud to be supporting the Big Sleep In.
Absolutely, this could be any of us. You just never know, like Molly says. So yeah, have an incredible Big Sleep In event. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
What does the money that gets donated get spent on? Well, here we go. So the first thing, Kath, talk us through. Obviously, replacement driver's license. Why would that be something that potentially we could help our clients with?
Yeah, I mean, or any kind of photo identification. And you can't do anything in this world, it seems, without identification. You can't open your bank account, you claim your benefits, all of these things. So we try very hard at first sort of point of contact to establish if they've got ID, and if not, then we'll go and get it replaced. So we do quite a lot of replacement of ID.
Definitely. And something else as well is train or bus travel. That's really important. Tell us why that might be important, not just for somebody that's with us as a client long term, but also people that may be approaching us first off that present as homeless or rough sleeping.
Yeah, so there's various ways we need reasons why we need money for travel and to buy tickets, be whatever mode of transport. One of those is if someone's not from Woking, as I said earlier, they're very unlikely to get longer term accommodation here because they do not have a housing connection to Woking. So if they've come from, say, Birmingham, and they've got somewhere to go to, we can then get them a ticket, a train or bus, and help them return back to Birmingham, where we will automatically, of course, link them in with services up there. We wouldn't want to just send somebody back to train station. And this includes, there's a picture of a bus ticket there, but we send people abroad back home. So most recently, I think it was either South Africa or New Zealand. We returned somebody to. He'd got a bit stuck in this country, and some people have come into work and then lost their accommodation and job. And the choice you have is to either say, no, we can't help them sleep rough, or spend a bit of money on helping them get back home. And what I will say is we don't just buy a train ticket or an airplane ticket. We will make sure they've got everything else they need. So if we're returning somebody to, I don't know, let's say Romania, Hungary, France, whatever, we would make sure we get them right the way back to their hometown, not just to where the airplane lands. So that may well include further travel into buses and things. We'll also send them with making sure they've got enough food and water for their journey as well. Yes, there's a human side to this. It's better to have somebody back home safe than it is to be rough sleeping. But also, let's be honest, the cost to the UK community, to our community, is much greater. If that person then becomes unwell here, he or she is going to have to use the services. They may be forced to shoplift in order to get food. And then, of course, you've got the impact on the police services. So what we say to people is, unfortunately, it's not working for you here now. Let's go home, get yourself together, get yourself sorted. If you want to come back, that's not a problem. But plan your return and make sure that you have all the things you need in place before you get here.
There's been so many charities and organisations that have been kind of showing their love and support for York Road Project. One organisation being Mazzato, Beanies Mazzato, we'll give them a shout out. But how valuable is that? How important is that we continue those relationships with such incredible organisations that are up and down the country doing some great things for homeless charities?
Mazzato is astonishing. So we've been involved with Mazzato Jones for years now. I think we were one of the first charities they started working from. So he's a designer based up in the country somewhere, and his idea was, he does a lot of knitwear, was to have if you bought a beanie off him, then he would donate one to a homeless charity. And these are good quality beanies. They're not just, I don't know, ones off the market or whatever. So this has been going on for years now, and I don't know how many we've had. I've lost count. And in fact, most of the staff have Masato beanies and bobble hats and things on as well. I've actually got because they diversified for to do with COVID, and so I bought a face mask with bees on it, because I have beehives in my garden. So I mean, it is wonderful. They do so much. And in fact, I tweeted a photo the other day of my daughter-in-law on the top of Ben Nevis. They just spent 4 hours walking up, and what she didn't realise, but I could see, is that she had a Masato bobble hat on, which I thought was really good. But it means that for every beanie they donate to us is one less we have to buy. And of course, it's so important to keep people's heads warm when it's cold. We all wear our bobble hats. So if you go on their website and buy one of these Masato hats, and they donate a beanie to a homeless charity, and they work with about 5 across the country, and we're all small little organisations, so it makes such a difference. So yeah, it's really, really important.
There we go. And you can see that website on the screen there. There's just 3 of the beanies that Masato Jones sells. To find out more information on them, and of course other organisations that we are supported by, we will be providing you information on our website, yorkroadproject.org.uk, over the next 48 hours. But that's Masato Jones. You can find his information at Masato, that's masato.co.uk, and click on homeless support. There we go. Thank you so much to him and the team of volunteers as well at his organisation that keep his organisation going and are doing great things. Please answer if you are the winner.
This is the Vodafone voicemail service for.
Well, we should definitely leave them a message, shouldn't we, Kath? Let's leave them a message.
Please leave a message after the tone. When you finish recording, please hang up or press the hash key for more options.
Hello, this is Stephen from York Road Project, giving you a quick call to let you know
that you have won a prize in our raffle.
So congratulations, and we'll drop you an email to let you know how you can claim your prize. Thank you. Well, there you go. That's the first person. They was probably too shy to answer their phone.
I hope they're not in bed.
For a little bit of a fun, big sleeping. Oh.
Hello?
Hello, it's Stephen from York Road Project.
Hello?
Hello, you've won a prize.
In our raffle.
Oh, fantastic.
So we thought we'd ring you up and let you know that you've won. So congratulations, and we'll send you an email to let you know how you can claim your prize. Who am I speaking to, by the way? What's your name?
It's Aaron. Thank you, Stephen.
Hi, Aaron. Thanks very much. Well, you are live, so don't say any swear words or anything like that.
I'll try not to.
But York Road Project, what does it mean to you as a charity in the local community?
Well, it's obviously a lot to us because our connection with it's pretty big. So yeah, it's means a lot, and thanks for the call.
No problems at all. Well, thank you very much for taking part, and have a fantastic evening. Enjoy the rest of the sleep-in. Thank you.
Thanks, cheers, bye.
Somebody's been in touch asking about gift aid and what that means on the website. Just very quickly, as if by magic, I do have a little bit of a graphic to show you. So basically, gift aid, we may be able to claim back 25% of your donations from the government. So that is a 25p for every pound that you donate. All that it means is that you need to be a UK taxpayer, and you need to have paid 3 times more than your donation in income tax. So if you've paid 3 times more in your donation of income tax, then you would be eligible to donate to us through gift aid. All of the terms, conditions, and all of the information is available on our website, so do check it out. Just go onto our website and search for gift aid, and you'll be able to see that there. But 25p for every pound, that's remarkable, and it's a great opportunity for us to bump up the money that you have donated to us today. A huge thanks to everybody that has donated. One person says that there's quite a few pot noodles on their way. Debbie, thank you very much for sending up.
Thank you.
And thank you for participating. A busy night for me, presenting the radio show and adding more things to our Amazon wish list. But it goes to show that here in Woking and the surrounding areas, we do have an amazing community of people willing to get behind such an incredible charity. And I'm really proud to be working here.
I'm going to talk about one in particular, a young man who I personally have known in the sector for probably at least 10 years. And unfortunately, what has really caused a lot of his problems is Spice. When Spice was in the area in a big way 3 or 4 years ago, he was only young, and like so many young people, he started taking Spice, and it has really messed with his mental health. And as a result, he's another person who really struggles with being around others. So on March 23rd, when we had to go and find everybody, we never expected him to come in, and he came in. We never expected him to stay for more than a couple of nights, and he did. And month by month, he's still with us. He is on benefits. He cannot manage to claim. He can't deal with the whole sort of rigmarole and of us being in the system, of having to jump through a million hoops. He's a lovely, lovely man. Yes, when his mental health suffers, he will shout a little bit, but believe me, he always comes back and apologizes. In fact, a few weeks ago, I was on my way up Guildford Road to the dentist, and I bumped into him, and we started having a chat. And midway through the chat, he just started screaming at me, and I thought, oh God, this is strange. And off he stropped. On the way back from the dentist, where I had a temporary filling put in because it fell out in COVID, I bumped into him again, but outside Tesco's, and I thought, well, how am I going to deal with this? So I went up to him and I started with, I'm really sorry if I offended you. I didn't mean to. And he actually stood up and said, Kath, you didn't offend me. I keep doing this. And his exact words were, if I carry on, I'm going to get beaten up. So he was probably entering some kind of psychosis. And as I walked away, he shouted down the road, love you, Kath. I thought, oh, bless, my little heart broke. But what I'm saying is about him, he has been in the hotel for 7 months now. And for us, that's phenomenal. And I know that the team have some plans with him. We've got a problem in terms of long-term housing. We've got an issue with the fact that benefits, because that if he doesn't claim, we can't claim housing benefit, which pays for our services. But I understand, and I'm not going to say more because I don't know the details, but I understand that the accommodation team are working on something that, if they can pull it off, would be brilliant and would mean that he'd be safe in some longer term accommodation. Because really, though he's managed the hotel actually doesn't suit him. He gets up early and leaves and comes back late because it's got too many people in. But what I would say is his room is spotless. He has 5 toothbrushes, which I find a little bit odd, but they're all in the little rack in the hotel bathroom. And because he's never probably had a toothbrush for a long time, so now he's got 5, and everything's beautiful in his room. So that's a client who is a really odd story, because there is no great big wonderful end of live happily ever after story yet.
Yeah.
But for us, success is he's maintained his bed for 7 months and he's safe.
Exactly, and actually, we're getting through to that individual slowly but surely, and obviously
getting trust.
Yeah, exactly, getting in to understand them, but also them getting in to understand us, and it's fantastic. Something else that I'll touch upon, I've got pets at home, and of course there are clients that potentially have pets too, and we always kind of forget, but actually we do have clients that have dogs from time to time, and we do what we can to support them as well. So thank you to those that are aware of those dogs and donating dog food. I know it sounds silly, but in fact that does really help us to be able to help them.
I think at one time with the hotel and the COVID, I think we had 4 dogs in at one time. I think there's 1 in at the moment. Yeah, because if you don't take the dog, the owner won't come in, because their dog is their family.